South, the Jaguars are in the driver's seat to win the AFC South. Jacksonville has a 56% chance to win the division, according to ESPN Analytics, followed by Houston at 33%, while Indy, you see him down there just to 11% following that 3-game losing streak and the Jones injury. RC, let's start with Indy. How are you feeling about them the rest of the way? You heard the contacts there on the quarterback, but there's other injuries that have been key to what's happened
Yeah,
here.
I mean, if you're the Indianapolis coach, you have to feel like someone shattered your playoff window, not that your playoff window closed. You look at early on in this season, and they didn't have really one of those quality wins. We didn't know the Denver Broncos were going to turn into who they are, and it took a penalty on a field goal attempt to get them that win as well. And so now you see the Pittsburgh Steelers, you play the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Texans, the Chiefs, all of these teams in the playoff hunts, plus the injuries, and it's just so difficult to win. And you look at what Riley Leonard was able to do. One, I'm a huge fan, right, because I got to watch him take the Notre Dame Fighting Irish to the national championship. But if I'm somebody like Russell Wilson, I'm going to run upstairs and say, hey, man, fire me. Right, wave me right now, and maybe I can go play for this Indianapolis Colts team who has some pieces around that I can help win and get to the playoffs. Because right now, this team went all in. Sauce Gardner hurt, and now Daniel Jones. He was the reason you felt like you didn't need to have a quarterback in the first round next year.
That's interesting. They got to make a move quick for sure. Marcus, who do you like in that AFC South the rest of the way? As you see the percentage chances there, the Jaguars and Texans there at 1 and 2.
It's Houston. This defense is vintage, but not only are they vintage as far as stopping you, they turn the football over. And when you look at this defense in totality, everybody gets excited about the pressures and the sacks and the plays that they make. Find me a hole. Find me something you can attack in the Houston Texans defense. It doesn't exist. And I think, too, like we saw CJ, the thing that I liked about Houston last night, and even though it wasn't this phenomenal performance, C.J. Stroud moved out of the pocket, made some critical throws, third down situations, extended some drives. And if you telling me that the Houston Texans offensive line and offense is not going to give games away, the defense is going to take something. So I look at that team right now in this division as a dominant team. I think they can run it the rest of the way.
I think with those two nationally televised primetime games against the Bills and then the Chiefs, the Texans aren't going to sneak up on anybody. I think they're in the conversation. The Jaguars, though, the Jaguars play at 1 o'clock. Maybe it's not always the top crew. Yesterday we had, Ian Eagle and J.J. Watt. The Jaguars are doing it quietly, silently, and I thought Trevor Lawrence had a really interesting soundbite yesterday. Let's take a listen.
We all feel like we're a really good team and probably don't get the credit we deserve, and everybody talks about every other team, and even in our own division, it's all these other teams that are going to go, win the division and do all these things, and nobody really cares about the Jags, which is fine. It's kind of just how it is, and we'll use that as a chip on our shoulder.
And they will galvanize around that.
He's like, it's fine, it's fine.
But, he's wearing that cool leather jacket from the old school Fred Taylor Day Jaguars. I like that. But his point is this. We don't care about all you on TV. We will have what we have in this locker room, and we'll just keep on winning and being just fine.
All right, well, they might not enjoy then what I'm about to say.
Give some shine,
we give notes. Ryan, what was my note for this game?
Lawrence balled the F out.
That was it. I texted in the chat. I was like, did I just
watch
that
on the lower third?
Analysis, y'all. Did I just watch the best game of Trevor Lawrence's career? And I think there were some games in 2022 that were maybe similar, but I mean, I was stunned by his performance in this game. Pouring rain, by the way. Unbelievably accurate, throwing downfield, making throws on the move, which has been a part of his game I always love. When he rolls to his left, he's got great natural arm talent, making good decisions, ball security in the rain on sneaks and ball handling and fakes. It was just a complete performance. As we think about the broader AFC landscape, which was the concept here, there's no perfect team. But if that offense is explosive and Brian Thomas Jr. is catching the ball the way he did in this game, they can compete with anyone.
And also, too, thank you, Trevor. About time you say something. About time you step up and say, you know what, we hear what y'all saying, but we can play here, too. And if you think about that offense did show up for 3 quarters in Houston against the Houston Texans.
That's a great point. Maybe the best of any offense against Houston.
Hey, it might have taken a few years, might have taken a few coaches, right? Maybe he finally found the right one. Liam Cohen deserves a ton of credit, too. The Jags have outscored their opponents by 71 points during this 4-game movie with the Eagles tonight. And Lisa, the buzzword around the Eagles offense has been identity, and they're asking, do they need one? What does their identity look like? What have the Eagles players told you when you've mentioned this topic?
Yeah, right. Well, it's hard to think that a division-leading team with a winning record could get to Week 14 and still not really know what its identity is, but that's where the Eagles say they are and what they'll be looking to figure out tonight. There's no immediate panic with the analytics giving Philadelphia a 95% chance of still winning the division, but it's December, and Jalen Hurts said now's the time to start winning games based off of identity. He said we need to focus on one thing, and everyone needs to be all in on that. Saquon Barkley said he would like to have figured this out by now, but he also said we're 8-4, not the other way around. So everything that Philadelphia wants is still out in front of them. And as for what the Eagles' identity should be, a run-dominant team with Barkley and Hurts, or a passing team with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Hurts said it doesn't have to be one or the other. He said it's got to be about balance and the belief that they're not afraid to commit to either one, the run or the pass, based on what each game demands. So Jalen Hurts said we have the talents to be whatever team we want to be, but we have to commit, and we have to commit now.
It's interesting, Lisa, talking to Derwin James on the other side. He's like, I know what the Eagles have looked like recently, but we also know that they are really talented. That offense can be capable of so much. Thanks to you. We'll see you on the broadcast tonight. And now let's get Peter Schrager involved here. We're going to build out a play sheet presented by DraftKings. And Peter, let's start with Justin Herbert. Obviously, he's dealing with the hand injury. Going to be pretty interesting to watch. We do expect him to play. So over under half an interception in this one.
Laura, no one's going to have more information on Herbert than you, who'll be on the sidelines. I don't see them throwing the ball around willy-nilly. I have under on the interceptions here. I don't think he throws one today. I think they're going to be protective with the ball. I think they're going to make sure plays, and I think the running game's going to have to play a huge role. I don't see him throwing an interception against the Eagles. As far as Saquon Barkley, saw what Nick Sirianni said this week. They are trying to inspect everything on the table and trying to figure out everything. Guess what? The everything that usually works, ride Saquon. I think over on 17.5 rush attempts. I think you're going to see a lot of Saquon. Last year in this building on a Sunday night game, he ran wild for 200-plus yards against the Rams. He likes it in L.A. I think he will do it. As far as your anytime touchdown, I do something we call a moonshot. Maybe not one of the most obvious names. I'm going with the Chargers and their tight end, Aronde Gaston II. Fifth-round pick out of Syracuse, had a bunch of plays early in the season, only had one catch last time they played against the Raiders. But I think with Herbert and the wrist, what they're worried about, look for the tight end to get a lot more action, some security stuff. Red zone touchdown, Aronde Gaston. That is my anytime touchdown.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, all the receivers, the playmakers for Herbert, like, we got to get open as fast as possible to provide as much protection for him as we possibly can. A $10 bet wins, pays out $105.
Come on.
That's a big win. $10, you can win 105.
No brainer.
I was struggling with that, but we got it.
And a busy Monday at that here on SportsCenter. I am Matt Barry. We have a Monday Night Football game to discuss after a Sunday around the league that really shook up the playoff picture. Speaking of the playoff, Miami head coach Mario Cristobal is going to join me, as does Vanderbilt head coach Clark Lee, after the fallout of the college football playoff bracket that happened throughout the day yesterday. But we begin today's show in the NFL, and this just into SportsCenter. As senior NFL insider Adam Schefter is with us. Adam, what's the latest in Cleveland?
Matt, moments ago, the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski named Shedeur Sanders their starting quarterback for the remainder of the season. And so just like the Browns got an extended look at Dylan Gabriel in the first half of the season, they'll be spending the second half of their season looking at Shedeur Sanders, who played well yesterday against the Tennessee Titans, despite the fact that Cleveland did not win the game. But Shedeur Sanders obviously squared off against Cam Ward yesterday. And went number 1 overall. There were people who at one point in time thought Shedeur could be the number 1 overall pick. Instead goes in the 5th round, but now has the chance to start for the remainder of the season and make a mark and prove that he belongs as a starter in the National Football League.
Yeah, and I think going into the season, Schefter, we thought Cleveland was probably going to do this with all of their quarterbacks, see which one just kind of grabs it and grabs the position. So they'll do that with Shedeur moving forward. As we move on now to some developing news coming out of the NFL, Daniel Jones resurrected his career and in part an entire franchise, and he'll undergo Achilles surgery, ending his season with the Colts. It happened in the first quarter of yesterday's game against the Jaguars. Indy lost the game, their 3rd in a row. So that's the known. Daniel Jones is out. They will have to make a decision at their quarterback position. They've got a couple of guys. Anthony Richardson, by the way, still on injured reserve. He's not been cleared. So, Shefty, I do want to go there with you for a minute. The Colts quarterback dilemma, now that Daniel Jones is out, what do you have?
Well, yesterday they went with Riley Leonard, and Riley Leonard is a young quarterback that they believe in, but this team is in a tough spot right now. The quarterbacks on their roster, Riley Leonard, Brett Rippon's on the practice squad, and Anthony Richardson remains on injured reserve after he suffered a fractured orbital bone during pregame warm-ups, I don't know, a short time ago, about a month or so ago. And so those are their options. Here's the problem, Matt. When you lose Daniel Jones heading into Week 15, there aren't a whole lot of options to help bail out your season. Daniel Jones have been playing so well. He's now lost. So really the next man up is Riley Leonard, and the Colts' hopes will have to rely right now on Riley Leonard.
Yeah, Colts have lost 3 in a row, kind of come back to the pack a little bit. Riley Leonard out of Notre Dame, he's the rookie. It's going to be him, at least for the foreseeable future, until they figure this thing out. You mentioned Anthony Richardson. He was on injured reserve since October 13th, is yet to be cleared for football activity. Let's move forward now to some other injuries around the league. Adam, let's start with Geno Smith.